Hey, what's going on, beautiful people? Especially my high school players, right? My high school athletes, my fantasy football fans. I got my draft next week. But I'm your host, Kenneth Tiberius Clark. I'm coming to you guys out of sunny San Diego, and I want to introduce you guys to the Breakroom Breakdown Sports podcast, where we create sports content for all fans, right? Including the casual ones, right? The people that don't really watch sports like that. This is for you too. So we are officially moving into episode 10. So I guess we're like crossing a major threshold here. I talked to a little birdie the other day. The little birdie's my producer. And he said that most podcasts don't make it to episode 10. So I guess the Breakroom Breakdown is doing something right. We're chugging. But in light of that, I kind of wanted to switch reels a little bit, do something different. Instead of our normal one guest interview, which is always fun, we're going to introduce our Forward Progress Forum today. So it's going to be a panel of 3 people, and they're going to be answering some questions on the National Football Conference, otherwise known as the NFC. So we're finally going to talk some football, right? You guys know I've been chomping at the bit, like I'm fiending. So I'm kind of, this is me getting my fix. So stay tuned for that. But first, we're going to do a quick dive into our 8-count session, and we'll talk just a little bit of boxing, right? Sounds good? Now, that being said, boxing has kind of had a rough outing the past 2 months. Tyson Fury had to postpone his fight with Deontay Wilder. It's unfortunate. I was looking forward to that. So I guess Tyson Fury, his whole camp caught COVID. So that's one fight down the drain. And then we had the Errol Spence Jr. fight with Manny Pacquiao. He had to cancel that fight outright because he tore his retina. So I don't know how that happened, but that's unfortunate. So, sorry, guys. I think we're going to have to settle for like the Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley fight. I guess unfortunately, right? But all jokes aside, those were 2 fights I was really looking forward to. Especially we had Jacoby Berry on a few episodes ago, and he gave us his boxing breakdown, and he gave us some predictions as well. So once again, it's very unfortunate. But I love boxing. I don't want to make this a depressing boxing take, right? Boxing's had some good stories, some good things go on as well. A few nights ago, we got the opportunity to see the late great Muhammad Ali. We got to see his grandson win his first professional fight, right? In exciting fashion, I might add. So 21-year-old Nico Ali Walsh. So he's the son of Rashida Ali and Bob Walsh. So he defeated his opponent, Jordan Weeks, by TKO in the first round. So I'm not going to lie. I heard first round. I'm like, y'all sure he not related to Mike Tyson out here beating people up in the first round? Right. So yeah, he won in the first round. And he also, to pay homage to his grandfather, he had the patented white shorts, the white trunks. So that was pretty fun, pretty cool to watch. And I don't know about you guys. I love experiencing sports families. I think sports families make every sport more enjoyable to watch. You get to see it get passed down from generation to generation. I know football gave us the Mannings and the Matthews. Let's see. Baseball, we have the Griffeys and the Bonds. And boxing, outside of the Alis, we have, let's see, the Chavezes and the Hiltons. So it's cool because now we get a front row seat, and we get to see Nico progress and kind of add his name to that prestigious Ali club, so to speak, right? And we already talked about his grandfather. We don't need to talk about his grandfather's resume. That's already known. That's written in stone. But we also gotta give some respect to mother sister. Or I like saying that word. His auntie Layla Ali, she has an undefeated record, and some people consider her the greatest female fighter of all time outside of Clarissa Shields, right? So the point is, he has some amazingly huge shoes to fill, right? And it could probably be daunting for him. I think the hope is, I know my hope is, he can just block out the noise, and he can kind of focus on building his own legacy. Build his own legacy outside of, worrying about, what his predecessors did. And we all know, we've all seen like these younger generation of athletes, like they try to live off the family glory, and it doesn't always work out, right? As a matter of fact, more often than not, it probably fails. So I think Nico's in a good place. He's over at Top Rank with Bob Arum. And ironically, Bob Arum promoted his grandfather some 50, 60 some odd years ago. So I read that. I'm like, man, this is nuts, right? He has 30 amateur fights under his belt. Now they're undisclosed records, so I don't know how many of those he won. And plus, we don't know where they were at. They could have been in TJ, they could have been in an alleyway. Look, the point is he has some fighting experience, right? He's progressing. It's all coming together for him. I just ask that us as the fans that we pump the brakes and we just let him develop like any other unnamed 21-year-old boxer. Does that sound fair? Now, a quick segue for my casual fans. There's a pretty long list of athletes that just couldn't overcome the fame of their predecessors, right? So we have guys like Nate Montana, right? Joe Montana's son. We have Kerry Earnhardt, right? He's one member of the elite Earnhardt family for NASCAR. And then we have a guy named Marcus Jordan. I wonder who his dad is. Who knows? I think this guy was working at a Disneyland. He had like a store in Disneyland last time I heard, right? But you guys just do a little research on that, on this topic, and you'll see why I want us to be careful with Nico Ali Walsh. But that's it for boxing. I just want to touch on that really quick. We're actually going to move into our Forward Progress Forum. We have our 3 mystery guests in the waiting room ready to go. Let's get them in here. We have Isaiah Kitt of the Isaiah Kitt, host of the Isaiah Kitt Show.
Yes,
right.
The Isaiah Kitt podcast. Yep,
the Isaiah Kitt podcast. Right. Yeah. So excited to learn more about that later. And then we have. So it's funny. I've gotten the chance to know this gentleman. But his name is Ryan Ryan. So like Robin on Batman, he has the 2 R's on his chest. So Ryan, he's the host of Sports Rumble with Ryan. So definitely look forward to hearing about that too. And whenever we can, hopefully we'll get the lovely Baleigh Sheffield in here as well. So how's everything going? How's everything going today, guys? How's your morning going?
My morning's going well.
Look, I know you're all
likewise. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Pretty excited to talk about this.
Okay, well that's definitely good. We will let's see if we can add her in one more time. Baliegh, can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You got any camera action? No.
I'm working on that. I don't know what's going on over here.
You got Metro PCS? I'm just playing. I'm just joking around. That's my joke for everybody. I say you got Metro PCS home Wi-Fi. All jokes aside, let's just jump into it, and we'll work through it the best way we can. Just continue to work on your camera access. But to introduce you guys to this mysterious person, that is the lovely Baleigh Sheffield. She's a former Yahoo Sports reporter, and she's the host of the upcoming podcast Bale's the Sports Gal. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I think it's cute. I like that. So, okay. So here are the rules, guys. Right? It's going to be interesting. So 1, every person will get 2 minutes to answer each question. Right? I have my trusty iPhone on deck, so I'm gonna keep the timer. So hey, look, if you go over time, I'm gonna have to move on. It's nothing personal. It's just business. Right? So then 2. We're going to go in order. So obviously we'll go Isaiah, Baleigh, then Ryan in that order. We'll go in order, and everyone should get 7 NFC football questions total. Okay. And 3, no interrupting each other. Ryan, I know this is going to be tough, right? So look, if you disagree with something, just keep your mic muted and suffer in silence. If that sounds good, right? But I do ask that everybody just keep your mic muted until it's your turn, so that way we can hear everybody out the best way possible. So you guys ready to get started?
Definitely.
Yes.
All right. So everyone else mute their mic. Let's go on Isaiah. Isaiah, it's your turn.
Okay.
So Isaiah.
Yeah.
So this is the first question. Last year saw the Packers, Saints, Seahawks, Washington football team, Buccaneers, Rams, and Bears. They made up the NFC playoff picture. Who will not make it back this year, and why?
Okay. Can I give you two possible teams that may not make it back?
You can, as long as you can get it in 2 minutes.
So first, I think the Saints. I think the Saints are going to take a step back. They obviously have a really good roster, all around good roster, but obviously losing Drew Brees, a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, I think is going to hurt. Also, their financial situation. They're in salary cap hell. The Michael Thomas situation isn't the greatest right now. He's expected to miss the first couple weeks of the season. So I like Sean Payton as a coach. I think he's one of the better head coaches in football. I think they remain really relevant. I think they get 9 wins. I think they just fall short out of the playoff picture because I think the NFC is just so deep, and I think some healthier teams will come on to the rise and be able to take that spot from the Saints. And then Chicago. We don't quite know what the quarterback situation is. I think for me personally, I think Justin Fields should get the week 1 start. They're going to ask him to make a lot of plays because the offensive line is subpar. And outside of Allen Robinson, they have a lot of young pass catchers. So they're going to ask him to make a lot of plays. He's going to be able to do so. But I just don't see enough of that where they are going to be able to make a playoff push. Like similar to New Orleans, a really good roster, but they're going to win about 7 to 8 games. The defense will keep them in a lot of games, but young quarterback, Matt Nagy's on the hot seat. Depending on how he starts the season, he may be on the hot seat. That's why I think they should start Justin Fields week 1 because I think he gives them the better chance to win games early. So, but those are the 2 teams that made the playoffs last year that I don't think will make it. Simple as that.
Okay, look at Isaiah beating the clock now. Okay, really, really good take. I definitely agree with some of those points. Let's move on to Miss Baleigh for question 2. Okay, so Baleigh, here's question 2. He kind of touched on it a little bit. So we got Justin Fields and Trey Lance. Do they both start week 1? If not, why?
I would say that Trey Lance is definitely starting week 1. I'm still not so sure on Justin Fields, even though he's doing pretty well in camp. But we know for a fact that Trey Lance is doing very good. He's throwing deep balls off the back foot. So, and he's outshining Jimmy right now. So I'm pretty sure that he will start in week 1, but we still have to see what Justin Fields is going to do. There's a quarterback battle up there. So that's just my thoughts on that right now.
Okay. Really good. Short, sweet, straight to the point. Okay. So Mr. Ryan, Mr. Sports Rumble Ryan. So question 3. All right. Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston? Why?
The reason it's Taysom is the wins that he did last year. And the fact that I just can't trust in Jameis, even with the corrective surgery. He has the ability to throw deep, but he also has the ability to throw in pockets that are places you don't want to throw and not throw the receiver open, throw in that pocket and have that picked. And that's dangerous for the Saints.
Okay. So that makes sense.
So you could still have 30 picks even in that system. That's why.
Okay. So you still think he's a turnover machine?
I think it's possible. Yes, I think it's very possible.
Okay. Definitely a good take. I was hoping Jameis could overcome some of that and under Sean Payton, but we'll see what happens, right? So back to Isaiah. So we are on we're on question 4. So can Sam Darnold win? Can he be successful in Carolina? Why or why not?
I was really high on Sam coming out of college, coming out of USC. Like the Rose Bowl game. That was probably his best college game, career game. Gets drafted to a dysfunctional Jets organization that didn't have a lot around him. But in Carolina, it's a lot of weaponry. I think Carolina is very young. We had my question prior about teams that could possibly miss the playoffs. I don't think Carolina's going to make the playoffs, but I do think Sam Darnold will be able to find some type of success. I do. You got so many weapons all over the place. You're getting Chris McCaffrey back. You got DJ Moore. He has Robbie Anderson that he's really familiar with in New York. It's a lot of weapons all over the place for Sam Darnold to play with. They also drafted the kid out of Oklahoma State, Chuba Herbert. So Carolina is gonna be one of the more entertaining offensive teams to watch. So when we're talking about success, I think his numbers will improve, and offensively, Carolina will be really entertaining. I think, like I said, I think they fall short as far as like the playoffs, but as far as Sam Darnold being successful and getting his career back on track, I think he can do that with this supporting cast in Carolina with Matt Rule. I like what Matt Rule is doing too.
Oh wow! Okay, that's good. I'm actually loving Carolina as well. So I'm glad. Really good take. So okay, so we have 5 for Miss Baleigh. So who is the biggest sleeper team in the NFC and why?
Okay, this might be random. A lot of people probably are going to disagree with me, but I'm gonna have to go with Arizona. I feel like with Cliff Kingsbury, he's pretty good at, drawing up a good offense. We've seen that with Patrick Mahomes. And I just feel like they have also DeAndre Hopkins and then Kyler Murray. If they can teach Kyler Murray how to break out the pocket a little bit easier and, throw, I feel like they'd be kind of hard to beat offensive wise. So that's just my take on that right now. So I'm going with Arizona.
Arizona Cardinals. Okay. All right. Arizona, look, we'll touch on that later. They're in a tough division, but no, that's a good sleeper pick because they definitely have the talent. They went 8-8 last year. So no, very, very good. So next we're on Mr. Ryan. All right. Look, Ryan, I'm sure you'll enjoy this one. Will the Cowboys trade Jaylen Smith at some point?
I think they will, because Michael Parsons is as good as Michael Parsons is. So we're going to have to make room. So trading Jaylen is the way to make room. That's the best way to make room.
Okay.
And give him more plays. So that's the way forward for that. Because otherwise he's going to have less plays. And really you want him having more plays, not less. Because that's the way to success for a kid with that type of talent. That's just the way forward for, I don't care what position, wide receiver, linebacker, cornerback, quarterback, pick the position you want.
Okay. That makes sense.
But that's the way I see it. But that's the way I see that.
Okay. And to tell you the truth, you know what? Look, you may be right, but they say Jaylen Smith is like 4th in the pecking order in Dallas right now. Like he's not even a star. The guy's not even starting. So wow, yeah. So no, they definitely.
Okay, but Ford still has you on the field and still has you getting enough plays to take plays away from a kid.
True, 100%. Yeah, it's less food on the table.
But, right. So let's not kid ourselves.
Makes sense. Okay, good take. So back to Isaiah. All right, so obviously we just talked about this. The NFC West is probably the most talented division. We got the Rams, Niners, Seahawks, and we got the young Cardinals. Who is the odd man out? Right? Let me know who we got, Isaiah. Who's not making it?
This division is very tough. I think I love watching this division. I'm sorry, I'm on the East Coast, but I love catching these West Coast games with the Cardinals, the Rams, the Niners, and the Seahawks. But sadly, the Cardinals, I think, are our team out. And a lot of it is coaching. I'm not the hugest fan of Cliff Kingsbury. I think it says a lot when your alma mater fired you, but that's neither here nor there. But when I look at the coaching in that division, the Cardinals have a really good roster. I think they're gonna win about 8 games, but they're going to finish in last place, which is crazy to think about. But when I look at the coaching on their, like, I see Kyle Shanahan, offensive mastermind. I see Sean McVay, offensive mastermind. I see Pete Carroll, a Super Bowl winning head coach. And when I look at Cliff Kingsbury, I see a guy second half of last year. I saw a lot of coaching blunders. I saw a lot of game plans that didn't really add up. I didn't like what they did schematically at the latter part of last year. And I know Kyler got hurt, later on down the stretch. But the way how Arizona finished off the season last year, I wasn't a huge fan. They did add some pieces to their defense. They got like J.J. Watt. They added A.J. Green. They got James Conner. But I think with a healthy 49ers squad, if the 49ers can stay healthy, I think they're better. The Rams got to upgrade that quarterback. I think they're better. And then Seattle's going to be Seattle as long as they have Russell Wilson under center. They just got to sign Dwayne Brown at left tackle. But I think the Cardinals are the odd team out.
Okay. Really good take, because that's a very tough division. You probably feel, I think Isaiah's like he's low-key, he's like my spirit animal, because we have some of the same takes, right? But no, very, very good. So we are on Miss Baleigh Sheffield. So this is going to be a very simple one, but very fun. Can the Tampa Bay Bucks repeat this year? Why or why not?
I don't think so. I mean, they can, but I don't think it would be in their favor. No one has, consecutively won a Super Bowl since 2003 and 2004. And then you have injuries like Mike Evans, and that's not going to help at all. And then the schedule might not be in their favor either. And they also have a 17-season run. So I think it just all depends on what we see in the preseason and leading up to that. And plus, Tom Brady's not getting any younger. So I think it all depends, but I don't see them going back to the Super Bowl.
Let me push back on that.
Look, Ryan just had to. No. Well, look, I tell you what, you know what, Ryan, look, we got about a minute left. So you got about 30, 40 seconds.
I only want 10 seconds.
Okay,
one, never bet against Brady. Two, they brought everybody back.
Brady's getting old, man.
yeah, he's getting older. But you know what? I will say this. I just kind of gave up counting Father Time against him, because I think he's at this point he's like this elite game manager. But no, I agree. Mike Evans' injury. They do have a tough schedule. And once again, I think Tom he showed last year that he can't carry them. He can help them win, but he can't carry them. So that was definitely a good take. I actually have them not going back myself. So I don't disagree with Miss Baleigh Sheffield here. So Ryan, let's move on to you.
All right.
So outside of the Buccaneers, name me two other legitimate Super Bowl contenders in the NFC.
In the NFC, the NFC is a hard one to pick for other contenders, but Green Bay could be a contender.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of Green Bay is where it gets hard, though. I think depending on how Carolina plays and depending on their running back situation and how healthy he is, they can be a contender.
Ooh.
So that's your other possible contender. It depends on health. That depends on the health of your running back.
Okay. That's a steamy hot take. And I'm gonna tell you this. Go ahead.
It is,
yeah.
But it's not crazy.
No,
it's definitely not crazy.
No. Yeah, and it's not. I think just 5 years ago we seen a young Philadelphia Eagles team turn their franchise around and win the Super Bowl, right?
Correct.
So okay, I like Carolina a lot. So I think that they're a fun team, very young and very talented.
Right.
So
let's remember, I'm not a Carolina fan. That I'm not fanboying here at all. Put my team up there because I don't think they're up there. So I'm being 100% here.
Okay.
So I'm being 100% here.
Okay.
So I'm being 100% here. 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 So I'm
Okay. All right. So Carolina and Green Bay, the other two contenders. So now we're back to you. Oh, you got a fun one, Isaiah. I'm sure you're gonna love this one. So NFC East predictions: Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, Washington football team. Who's winning and why?
Okay. So I'm gonna start from the bottom. The bottom, work my way up to the winner. So Philly is a rebuilding process. I'm not me personally. Kenneth knows I'm not huge on Jalen Hurts. We'll see how it works. I'm not huge on Nick Sirianni, and plus Philadelphia has a lot of aging, expensive parts. So I think they're in a rebuild mode. The Giants, I think, are going to finish third at 8-9. I think they're going to be good. Their defense, their roster is really loaded. But I'm not sure on Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones. I'm just not sold on it, and their offensive line. So the up front play, I think it matters to me. Their defense is solid, but I don't love their O-line. I want to see more consistent play from both Daniel Jones and their offensive line. The Washington football team, I think, finishes 9-8. Fitzpatrick, a leopard don't change his spots, a tiger don't change his stripes. I know what Ryan Fitzpatrick is. Nobody else is going to convince me otherwise. 17-year journeyman. He's never made the playoffs. Hell, he's only had 4 seasons where he played 16 games. So I think Washington defensively will keep them in a lot of games, and that'll win them about 9 games. I think 9-8. But then I think the Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC East. I think their offense is going to be it's going to be elite. Their defense is going to be average. They're 10-7. That the Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC East.
Okay. Look, Isaiah beating the clock here. Definitely a good take. Look, I know Ryan's over there suffering in silence, but look, what's the rule? I said we can't interrupt anybody out here, right? Okay. So Cowboys winning the NFC East. I think the Giants got a shot. I'll give Ryan some love. They got a shot. They got a chance, right? So, Miss Baleigh Sheffield, will the Atlanta Falcons offense be better without Julio Jones?
I wouldn't say better, but I say that they can survive without him. They have last season they were ranked 21st in offensive efficiency, and they still have talent. It's not like they don't have anybody. You know, they have Matt Ryan and Kyle Pitts, and then of course Calvin Ridley also had more targets last season while Julio Jones was injured. So I mean, it's not like it's just a death sentence that he's traded. I guess they'll just have to work a little bit harder since they don't have that big target. But I mean, Coach Smith, I feel like he has what it takes to pass off a good offense and, just passing off on flakes. So at the end of the day, I feel like that's just another thing that we're just going to have to see.
Yeah, just watch it unfold. Okay. Yeah. I definitely agree with that take. I think hopefully Kyle Pitts can somewhat fill that role. I mean, that's a tall order.
I think he can.
Yeah.
I mean, he's young, but I think he can.
Yeah. He's the highest, if I'm not mistaken, is he the highest drafted tight end in NFL history?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, okay, we'll see what happens with that. So, Atlanta has a chance. We'll watch and see how we'll watch that movie and see how it unfolds. So, Mr. Ryan.
Yes, sir.
What NFC team has had the most productive offseason?
I think the Giants have had the most offseason for the NFC. I really do. No, I know you believe that. I truly believe that. It's not fandom. I truly believe they've had the best offseason. If you look at what they've done with their defense, if you look at what they've done to help Danny out, if you look at everything they've done, they've had the most productive offseason.
Okay.
So that's where I come from on that. And yes, the offensive line, does it need help? Have we not seen enough? But I think we're judging them off one game, which is unfair. Mm-hmm. Let's see another 2 games and then come back and judge them.
Okay.
Then let's say, okay, they're trash, or we have a treasure here. Before we start saying Danny can't be anything behind this line because they're trash. No, maybe they just haven't got it together yet because it's one game and they hardly played. We only have 3 preseason games now.
Okay.
And our starters are only playing this much of game 1. Like, let's be real.
Okay. I would agree. You know, me and Orion don't agree on everything, because he's a Giants fan, and and me traditionally I'm a Cowboys fan outside of a football fan. But yeah, the Giants have had a very productive offseason with a few key added defensive pieces in Adoree Jackson, and I know they drafted a young edge rusher out of Georgia, who I think can be very, very good for them as well. And then obviously Kenny Golladay on the offensive side of the football. So no, I agree. They had a very, very.
Let's not forget the wide receiver in round 1.
Oh, let's not forget about him. Yeah, look, I guess you just get so caught in the fold because you got so many talented guys. But you're right. You guys drafted a wide receiver in the first round out of Florida. What's his name again?
Trying to remember.
Kadarius
Toney.
Right. He does get lost in the fold, which is why I forget his name.
Yeah.
Because no. Get lost in the fold.
Yeah.
Because we have so many receivers. But this is why I argued, and I'm sorry we would go a little into time, but this is why I argue we needed him.
Okay. Oh, the phone said next, but you know what? No, I agree. He gets lost in the fold. A lot of talent on that wide receiving core, and then we're not even talking about Evan Ingram at tight end and Kyle Rudolph. So very good. So next we're back to Isaiah. NFC running backs: Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara. Who's the most dominant? Why?
Okay, I like all 3. I think Dalvin Cook, for me, he doesn't stay healthy enough. But when healthy, the dude is really, really good. But he like the best ability is availability. And Dalvin, that's something that he struggled with at Florida State, and it's kind of carried over in Minnesota now. But I think he's really good, but I wouldn't say he's the best. Alvin Kamara, I think he's one of the premier route runners at the running back position. He catches 80 balls a year. He gets 100 targets a year. He just don't give me the in-between tackles, and as far as the rushing aspect, as far as him current as a ball carrier, he's yet to rush for 1,000 yards in his career yet.
That's
so
true.
I like Kamara, but I don't think I'm gonna take him off over CMC Christian McCaffrey. I think when healthy, Christian McCaffrey got banged up a lot last year, but I think when healthy, he's the best running back in the NFC. A guy he gives you the ability to east, west, north, south. And he can catch out of the backfield and be a potent receiving threat. So I think it's Christian McCaffrey. And like I said, I'm really high on Carolina offensively. So I think Christian, if he can stay healthy, obviously he's going to be really productive and really valuable to Sam Darnold and the Carolina Panthers' success offensively.
And very good. And I would say this. I think people. I was one of those guys that wasn't really a big Christian McCaffrey fan when he was coming out of Stanford. I thought he was a little bit overrated, but he's really proven himself to be probably one of the most well-rounded running backs in the league. And he has the audacity to be able to block too. I'm like, how is this little dude block? But no, very, very, very good. I think he has an argument to probably be the best back in the league if he's healthy. Yeah. So okay, we'll see what happens. And then obviously we've seen Dalvin Cook kind of revive his career, so I'm excited. Okay, so Miss Baleigh Sheffield, we got a good one for you. So, can Jared Goff rebound with the Detroit Lions, or is he just a bridge quarterback?
I think he's just a bridge quarterback. Slightly. For him, though, I know he's trying to make a comeback with Detroit. But so far, it's not looking great. Friday against the Bills, he was sacked and he threw a couple of incomplete passes. He did come back in the later half of the game, making 7 of 8 passes for 56 yards. But I just feel like he's going to have to put in a lot more effort. You know, if you're not good at your job, you get fired. If you're good, you get to stay. And I think that's just kind of where it's at right now. But I don't think Detroit is going to keep him in for the long haul. It's not something that they're depending on.
Mm-hmm. And I would definitely agree with that sentiment. Obviously, look, obviously, you don't see franchises just trade their franchise quarterback every day. So once I seen that, I said, man, the writing's on the wall, because you never seen Indy. Hey, I'm going to trade Peyton Manning or New England. Hey, let's talk about trading Tom Brady, right? So when they trade their quarterback, that the writing's on the wall. This guy probably is either declining, or he just wasn't who they thought he was. And I think he just wasn't who they thought he was. But okay, definitely a good take on that one. So we'll see who Detroit drafts next year. I don't know. It's kind of a limited quarterback draft. So we're on to Ryan. Devonte Adams or DeAndre Hopkins? Who's the superior wideout and why?
It's Devonte Adams for all the abilities he has and the way he catches the football. Mm-hmm. That man has abilities that nobody else has. Nobody. That man can catch footballs that nobody else catches and go for yards that nobody expects you to go for. That man takes things to the house that you don't expect a guy without speed, without the type of hill type speed to go for, and he does it on a consistent basis. He takes things 70 yards on a basis that a guy like him should not be able to do. Mm-hmm. So he's the superior wide receiver.
You think it's his physical talent is what makes him
right?
What makes him takes him over the top?
It's definitely that physical talent.
Right. Which is crazy because they're both elite route runners.
No, they're both elite route runners, but when you can get off the jam the way he can, you a different cat. You a different cat. Let's just put it that way.
No, most definitely. No, I agree. I like that. I think it'll that one will always be arguable because we've seen DeAndre Hopkins make everyone look silly. Every elite corner make look very silly. But definitely Devonte Adams last year, you kind of seen him. I'm not gonna say he peaked, but he's definitely tapping into his full potential. So I'm excited to see how the season unfolds. Okay, so that's the Devonte Adams, DeAndre Hopkins. Okay. Ooh, man, look. Isaiah, I'm almost jealous. I'm giving you some good questions, man. I wish you was asking me these questions. Okay, so we got CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson. Who will have the better sophomore season?
So I really like both guys. I like both guys coming out of college, but both guys had really tremendous rookie years. But Justin Jefferson, I think it's gonna be CeeDee Lamb. And I'm not necessarily saying that one is better than the other, but I think CeeDee Lamb's gonna have a better season. Justin Jefferson had a really good rookie year, like a record-setting, rookie year. 1,400 yards as a rookie. That's pretty impressive, given the fact that Minnesota runs a zone running scheme, and he has Adam Thielen playing alongside, and he got to give Dalvin Cook his carries as well. So that was really impressive. But I think the fact that CeeDee Lamb, that got hurt in week 5, I think. The fact that CeeDee Lamb still ended up with 935 receiving yards as a rookie with all of those weapons, and given that his quarterback, that Dak Prescott, his quarterback was done, he didn't even play majority of the season. I think it's CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee. I love what I've been seeing in training camp so far. He looks really healthy. He looks really healthy. Looks a little bit bigger. So I think CeeDee Lamb is definitely going to have the better sophomore season. I think both guys are going to have really good seasons, but I'm looking for CeeDee Lamb to have an all-pro caliber season because he gets Dak Prescott back. Hopefully they can stay healthy. And with Lamb, I think he may be able to make a case that he's the best receiver on the Dallas roster.
That's a good point here. That's a very, very good point. And you know something? Just to add to that, I think that Justin Jefferson, I would agree with you. I think that Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb are an example. I think sometimes you have high floor players come in the league. High floor, obviously, they come in, they're maybe a little bit more polished, a little bit more prepared. And then you have guys that have a higher ceiling where their potential is just higher. Eventually, they'll reach it and they'll show themselves to be better. So I'm excited to see what happens. I think you're right. I think both are going to have stellar sophomore seasons. But I mean, CeeDee Lamb, I mean, he's wearing that 88, and you know, I don't know what it is. The guys put on that 88 and they just act a fool.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Ms. Baleigh Sheffield, question 17. Is Jalen Hurts the real deal as the Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback?
I believe, yes. I believe so. He is the real deal. I mean, he started 4 games last year, and he beat out Carson Wentz, who's a veteran. And I just think his stock just keeps going up. The more he gets to play, the more he gets to shine. He's been in joint practices against New England with Cam Newton, and he's outshined him in practice as well. And
He looked very good.
Their game against the Steelers, he threw some really good passes. So I just think he's going to keep developing. He's going to get better, and we're just going to see a star out of Jalen Hurts, you know. And we got to remember, he played for Alabama, he played for OU, and he wasn't trash when he played for neither of the schools. And that says a lot coming from those 2 schools. Well, I guess now I'd have to say 2 SEC teams now that OU is now
It's gonna
SEC. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think he's shooting for stardom. I think we're gonna see a top player in Jalen Hurts within the next year. So,
okay, definitely. I'm excited for him. Obviously, I think he's very humble, and he handled that benching at Alabama very well. And I was excited to see him go to OU and have some success. So let's wish the best for Jalen Hurts. So 18, Mr. Ryan, more likely to get fired in 2021, Cliff Kingsbury or Matt Nagy? Why?
I think it's Matt Nagy, and I think it's because that team is not quite the team we think it is, and the Cardinals are way more than we think they probably are. So Cliff's got a better chance of staying, at least for this year. So that's the answer to that question. Matt Nagy is probably gone after this year.
Okay, so you think anything short of an NFC championship, he's probably gone.
Oh, he's probably gone anything short of that, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So Isaiah, all right. Who will field the best defense in the NFC and why?
I think there's a couple contenders out there. I like people know I'm really even though I'm a Cowboys fan, people know I'm really high on the Rams, and I like the Rams a lot. But I think they lost a couple guys due to free agency in that secondary, and plus they lost Brandon Staley. So I think the Rams they still have a pretty good defense, but I think it's the Washington football team. I do. I think it's the Washington football team. We obviously know about the front seven. The front seven is the strength of that defense. It's going to be the backbone of the team. And like I said in my Washington football team prediction, the defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. It's going to keep them in a lot of games. It's going to keep them very competitive. I'm looking at guys like William Jackson to have a big year. The DB that they just signed this past free agency. I'm looking at guys like Cameron Curl, who I really like at the safety position. I really like. So I like what. So and their defense gets a lot of talk and a lot of chatter because of the front seven and the front four with, obviously Chase Young, Payne, and Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat. But that secondary, it's a pretty solid secondary. And when you have a front four like that, your secondary doesn't have to be like the Legion of Boom. It can be, if you can just have guys that can cover and do their jobs. I think the Washington football team has a really good chance of being a special unit defensively. Just looking at Jack Del Rio, all of the surrounding parts, so much young talent all over the place. I think the Washington football team, they have the best defense in the NFC.
Okay. Very, very, very good take, because we all know there are some good defenses You probably hit the ones. I knew the Rams. I think the Rams were the number one defense last year. A lot of people don't know that. So very talented, and Washington football team will come back. Cameron Curl, people saying he unseated Landon Collins. They were thinking about moving Landon Collins to linebacker because of him. So very, very talented. So, okay, Ms. Baleigh Sheffield, who will field the best offense in the NFC? And why?
I would have to say the Seattle Seahawks, because Russell Wilson now has a little bit more protection in his blind side and just on his line as well. And so I feel like he'll probably be able to get out of the pocket a little bit more and play a little bit better. And to me, Russell has a really good arm. He's a pretty good thrower. And plus, I'm just a fan. I'll be honest. So I seriously think, So I seriously think that they will have one of the best offenses in the NFC. So that's just my take. I might say Arizona. I don't know. They got a lot going on over there, but I'm going with Seattle.
Okay, Seattle definitely. They got some. They got some nice weapons, and DK Metcalf. People are already talking about that kid as a top 5 wide receiver, top 3 at points last year. They got Tyler Lockett, and then they drafted a guy. What's his name? Dwayne Eskridge, who's supposed to be very, very good. I like Penny Hart.
And they signed Gerald Everett too.
Yeah.
Oh, they did, right? They got Gerald Everett, but the Penny Hart kid, he actually got drafted by India a few years ago. I actually like him. I think he's going to be a sleeper. So look out for him. He's like 5'8". So he's holding it down for the short guys in the league. So, right. So, okay. So let's move on to the last question. Ryan, you actually got a good one. So I need some heat. All right. So we have Aaron Rodgers. We got Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, and Matthew Stafford. All have great weapons around them. Right. All of them have an embarrassment of riches. Who has the best MVP odds and why?
I think it's probably the MVP from last year, Aaron Rodgers. That's who I really think it's probably Aaron, because Aaron's gonna go out and show out because Aaron wants out of there, and he's trying to show other teams what he still has. So let me show you what I got, because I'm on the way out the door. So let me win an MVP on the way out the door. Let me win another one while I still don't want to play for you, while I still don't care about this team, while I still don't care about any of you. Watch what I do on the way out the door. Yeah, now what? And you don't have me next year. Good luck. And you're probably losing Devonte next year too.
Oh, that's right. They are still in contract negotiations with Devonte Adams.
And Devonte wants to play with Derek Carr. So how are you gonna work that out? Okay. You got major issues there.
Well, you know what? I definitely always I'm usually kind of hesitant for back-to-back MVP, especially offensive MVP. But Aaron Rodgers is just. I think I seen like a video of him throwing in the offseason, and he was like throwing into a boat, and I'm like, this dude is otherworldly. He's just on another level. He's just a master of his craft at this point. So no, I can't be mad at you. He has every right. He has every opportunity to win it again, and he's getting Randall Cobb back. So he's getting his best friend back, right?
Right.
Well, that my best friend. No, I'm just playing. No, I'm not gonna sing that song.
And like, if it wasn't for how mad he was, I probably wouldn't have him. But when you give him that fire,
so you basically just think he's focused. You think he's on a mission.
You fuel that man. Look out.
Okay.
It's kind of that Jordan idea. Give him something to remember. Yeah. And it's a wrap.
Okay.
Just say hello. Just say hello, and he's turning it into something else.
Okay. So that is our questions. I actually loved it, you guys. I enjoyed it very much. I almost wish I would have had more. We could have went for 50 questions. We would have been here all day. But okay, so we had some interesting takes. So fans, I hope you guys took some notes in preparation for the 2021 season. But for my guests, we're gonna stay in the same order. I want you guys to tell us about your podcast and how the fans can reach you. So Isaiah, you first.
Oh yes. My podcast is called the Isaiah Kitt Podcast. It's a sports podcast, and similar to Kenneth, we're moving into the NFL talk. Discussing a lot of NFL rookie quarterbacks and preseason and so forth. So I've been doing it for 2 years, so you guys can catch me there. As you can see, I go to American University. I'm a sophomore, so greatly appreciate Kenneth, providing me, letting me come on his podcast and talk some football with him, and hopefully you guys are tune in to the Isaiah Kitt Podcast. Thank you, Kenneth.
We definitely will. All right, any social media handles?
Yes. You can follow me on Twitter at Isaiah Kitt Podcast. On Instagram, Isaiah Kitt Podcast as Isaiah Kitt Pod. You can follow those handles on social media and so forth. So, thank you.
Okay. All right. Miss Baleigh Sheffield, tell us about this podcast and how fans can interact with you.
Okay, hey guys, I'm Baleigh Sheffield. You can call me Bells. My show is called Bells the Sports Gal, and it has not launched yet. It will launch in a week on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. But right now, you can follow me on Instagram at Baleigh Sheffield 1 or Twitter at Baleigh Chef. And my show is pretty much a little bit of NFL, but predominantly college football. And just to basically keep you updated on your favorite teams, college teams, and kind of what their recruiting is looking like. Are they going to get 5 stars, All-Americans, all that jazz? I like to help put on high school football players because, a lot of people leave them out of the fray. And, Jamal Adams just signed that big contract, but he started off at LSU and he started off as an All-American, and people don't see that. So I'm bringing that in my show.
Okay. It's really good. I was over here writing notes and I was like, still Baleigh's podcast idea. I'm just playing. No, no, it's really good. I like that. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Belle's a sports girl, so I'll definitely make sure I subscribe ASAP. So Mr. Ryan, tell us about Sports Rumble and how can fans,
Sports Rumble / Relentless, which is the name of the podcast.
Okay.
You can find on Apple. It is also currently in a little bit of a transition phase. I'm working with somebody to help transition it into something a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. So that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. Look for that to come. That's coming pretty soon. I'm just working on some paperwork for that. Mm-hmm. As far as social media, you can find me on the Twitter machine, as I like to call it, at SWR202 or on the gram at Sports Rumble _Ryan. That's
okay.
The 2 spots you can find me, and I'm hoping shortly to also have a little gear to give out. We're working on that too. That's another thing we're working on. So all of that is in the works. There's a lot of big things coming.
Well, I'm excited. Oh, and by the way, guys, if you're like randomly up at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, just get on Clubhouse. You'll find Ryan.
Oh yeah, that's a thing for me. Yeah, but that's because I'm doing big things, my man.
No, you are. I'm excited for it. Trust me. And look, I'm happy to have met you. So yes, no, 100%. You guys, it was definitely a pleasure having all of you guys on. I enjoyed this. One, I love talking football, but I love talking sports overall. And even more so, I love talking sports with people that love sports and are passionate about sports as well. So don't be surprised. We have an exciting season ahead, but don't be surprised if the Breakroom breakdown, if we put up that bat signal and we call one of y'all back, or all of you guys back, right? So just be ready for the call. Just look to the sky.
I'm always ready. You know I'm always ready to go.
All right. Well, Isaiah, Baleigh, and Ryan, once again, it was a pleasure, and you guys have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Definitely. Thank you.
Definitely.
All right. Most definitely. Have a good one. Okay, so there you guys had it, right? You guys just heard from Baleigh Sheffield, Isaiah Kitt, and Ryan Ryan. They just gave us some fun takes on the NFC Football Conference. We also talked about Nico Ali Walsh's pro debut. And if you hadn't noticed, I don't know, maybe you guys caught this a little bit. We're just adding some segments, right? We're adding some defined segments, right? So we had the 8-count session and we had the Forward Progress Forum, right? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I guess I'm just excited, right? So, as always, you guys, if you guys had fun, just please subscribe, right? We're on all platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify. And I also encourage you guys to share this with your casual friends, right? Your friends that are just getting into sports or don't watch sports very often, so they can join us as well. But outside of that, guys, welcome aboard, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one.